Cassiopeia Reroll is broken in set 18, but you need one of these 4 conditions. Let's go over how you can turn it into free LP. There's 4 major conditions in which you want to play Cassiopeia Defender Reroll. The first is going to be Blighting Jewel. If you get that artifact item, it is absolutely bonkers on Cassiopeia. You toss it on her, guarantee yourself free LP. It is wonderful. Even a 2-star Cassiopeia with Blighting Jewel as the artifact on them is completely broken. Pair it with a Gunblade, and you don't even need to 3-star them. You can just opt to contest someone and it just works out. So this is such a strong condition for this build. The second option is Dawncore. Dawncore is just as good, maybe a slight tier lower, but is so overpowered on Cassiopeia. And same thing, you're going to pair it with the Gunblade, and then you can either have Archangels or Rabadons. Archangels is, I think, easing out in the stats above Rabadons in terms of playing that on Cassiopeia. You're going to want to go for Archangels, but if you run out of tiers, if you're playing the adaptive build on Fiddle that we're going to talk about a little bit later, you might want to go Rabadons if you have the extra rods on Cassiopeia. It doesn't make too much of a difference. Both are completely good, but Dawncore is the key condition there. The third one is the Flora Fatalis emblem. It is extremely strong in this build because it is a trait you activate anyway, but by having the perks on Cassiopeia and having the emblem on Cass, it just takes it to a whole nother level. You have that with Gunblade, with Shojins or Blue Buff, and Cassiopeia just fries. The final condition, if you just want to have some fun and try this build, is if you get a Cass early, whether that's from the starting orb, or you just get lucky when you level to 4 and you get a Cassiopeia. Any of those conditions work. All 4 are really great, some better than others, but to play this build, one of those 4 conditions I would strongly recommend just to propel yourself, because it is a level 7 reroll build. Level 7 reroll builds are a lot harder to pull off because you do need to get to 7 rather than 6 or stay at 5 to reroll for those 3 costs. So one of those 4 conditions, Blighting Jewel, Dawncore, Flora Fatalis emblem, or an early Cass all work, and you can go this Cassiopeia Defender reroll. Let's jump into some augments. Okay, there's a multitude of different augments you can go to play this build. My favorite is Deadlier Caps. Deadlier Caps is extremely strong in this build because, like I mentioned, you want to go Archangels as the prio in terms of that third item. But if you get the Deadlier Caps Prismatic Augment, it just permanently gains ability power. You just stack that on Cassiopeia. By the time you end up 3-starring her in the late game, it is insane. Additionally, there is the Consuming Flora Augment. So what this does, if this is a new augment that you may not know, the explanation is gain a Flora Fatalis emblem. The champion holding the emblem gains double benefits from the Flora Fatalis trait. So if that emblem on Cassiopeia was already great, this just takes it to the OP tier. If you get this augment and you toss that emblem on Cass, they're going to double all benefits from that trait, and it makes Cassiopeia just insane. So this is a great emblem to have. Additionally, you're going to have your basic econ augments. Again, I can't stress this enough. I talked about this in my last video, the Kale reroll build. Econ augments are the crux, or is crux even the right word? The base, the foundation of having a reroll comp succeed, especially a level 7 reroll comp. You need those econ augments, whether it be at 2-1, 3-2, whatever. You're going to need at least one econ augment to propel yourself above the lobby and ensure that you can make this reroll build work, because you will need a 3-star Fiddle, a 3-star Cass, and if you're extremely lucky, a 3-star Rammus. So, augments, for example, Heroic Grab Bag. That's a great augment to have. Rolling for Days, that's a silver augment. Team Building, another silver augment. Prismatic Ticket, if you get that, again, phenomenal. You can also go the KO build or any other reroll comp, but the Cass Defender reroll comp needs an econ augment. I can't stress it enough. Additionally, you can do some combat augments like Healing Orbs, Hold the Line, Baron's Lair, Giant and Mighty. Those all work as well, but those will be for later in the game, in my opinion. I would rather have an econ augment early at 2-1, at 3-2, just to propel your board and ensure that you hit the 3-star Cass or the 3-star Fiddle. The last augment I want to talk about is probably the most important one. If you see an artifact augment, you are going to take it. The reason for that is all the conditions we talked about at the beginning of the video. You're going to want to hopefully get a Dawncore or a Blighting Jewel. You can get a bunch of different other augments as well. Manazane works, or not augments, but artifacts. Manazane works if you need to. You can also take Eternal Pact. Any tank artifacts work well on your main carry Fiddlesticks. So artifact items are very crucial to this board. You're going to have Ornn on this board anyway. They may produce you an artifact item late in the game, which will propel you to that power spike late in the game. However, if you see an artifact augment, take it. It'll propel your early game as well. Pair it with an econ augment, either at 3-2 or 2-1, depending when you take that artifact augment, but it is extremely powerful in this build. We talked about augments and we talked about the conditions to go this build, but we haven't really touched on the build itself here yet. So aside from Cassiopeia being your obvious main carry, you're going to pair them with Soraka once you hit level 8. In addition to that, the board itself is 6 defenders. Up front, you're going to have Rammus, Fiddle, Ornn, Shen, Leona, and Lilia. So it's a quite simple build, 6 defender, 2 Flora Fatalis, and you have Soraka there at level 8. Now the key part about this is Fiddle. Fiddle is going to be your main tank, and there's 2 different builds you can go with Fiddle. Essentially just the standard tank items, whatever you end up getting. You can toss a Sunfires, a Warmogs, and an Ionic Spark. Additionally, if you have a lot of tiers, you can go the Fiddle build with Adaptive, and Titans. This is really good as well because it just has them constantly cast, and it just allows them to keep healing, with the Gunblade from Cass also helping them heal. It is an amazing build if you have all those tiers. Otherwise, just go the normal tank build on Fiddle. Next up, you're going to want to prioritize adding secondary tank items on Rammus if you end up 3-starring them. Otherwise, you can toss it on any other defender. Depends who you have, 2-starred, 3-starred, and so on. Okay, Wisps are a really important part of any build, but especially reroll builds in the early game. You're going to want to maximize how many champions you can obtain and get in terms of your rerolling, especially a level 7 reroll build like Cassiopeia. So, Wisps being all that more important, you need to ensure you're buying them in the early game. But you need to be aware that it's the most cost-effective Wisp you can buy. Don't be buying combat augments in the early game unless you find yourself bleeding out, losing health, and you need the extra help, because you want to save your money to reroll and obtain those 3 stars in Cass and Fiddle and Rammus. A great Wisp to buy for this specific build is called All Threes. It costs 3 gold and it rerolls your shop with all 3 cost champions. This is perfect because you essentially need to 3-star 3 costs, so there can't be a better Wisp than this to take in the early game. Another great Wisp to buy is called Bronze Spoon. It only costs 3 gold and you get 6 XP right off the bat. This is exceptional because you need to get to level 7 before you start your reroll. So all the XP econ that you can get, it matters. Matters big time because the lobby is going to be way ahead of you while you're still rolling to 3-star your Cass, to 3-star your Fiddle. So this just goes to show with any Wisp that involves econ, and there's value for the money, you should be taking it in the early game. Never, ever skip the Wisp. Always take it if it is econ, like flipping a coin, rolling dice. Any econ generating Wisp, you should insta-take. Avoid the combat Wisps early game. Again, unless you're bleeding out early and you need the help. And at that point, you're going to have to pivot from this build anyway. But in that situation, you're always taking econ Wisps to elevate your game. And make sure that when you are level 7 and during your roll down, you have the funds necessary to get that 3-star Cass and that 3-star Fiddle. Early game is extremely important with this build because you need to get to level 7 as soon as possible and have as much health as possible. So be able to do that, you either need to win streak in the early game so you have a strong early board, or lose streak and cash out with the cash out trait. It's really that simple. You need to either win or lose and ensure you get maximum value from your losses. Because level 7 is such a difficult reroll build to pull off, early game is a necessity. You need to have a plan going into it. If you hit one of those 4 conditions we talked about at the beginning of the video, and you know you're going to be going Cass, you need to have a plan for your early game. Win streaking is obviously going to be conditional. If you know your board is strong enough to do so, go for it. If you get one of any of those 4 conditions in the early game, chances are you're going to be able to win streak, because an artifact item really does propel your board early. And additionally, if you have a Cass, you can choose from there to whether go Coven or just try for the win streak, especially if you pair it with an artifact item. A solid early game build to go is Karma LeBlanc as Spellweavers on the back line with Ornn and Leona up front. The reason why you want Ornn in there so early is because you're going to have Ornn in the late game, and it gives you an increased chance to farm that artifact item. If you're able to 3-star Ornn naturally, that's a bonus as well, because it doubles the amount of forge power that Ornn can get. So again, that's just a side note. Because you're leveling to 7 and you need 3-star 3 costs, you're not going to prioritize Ornn as much as you would in a different reroll build. But if you natural it and the whole lobby's not going Ornn, it's a great front line to have 3-starred. it'll print you that artifact item that you need, which is one of the conditions of this build anyway. So that's a win streak comp early that you can potentially go if you get those selected units early and know you're going to be going the cast build at a later time. Now for the loss streaking, you obviously want to go Coven. So Coven is this set's loss streak build. It's fairly simple. It's a lot easier than, for example, Anima, because with Anima, what you had to do before is you had to ensure you lost or lose every single round. With Coven, it's completely different. Coven lets you essentially lose, win, win, lose, lose, win. It doesn't punish you. You still get the same amount of points for losing with the streak or without a streak. So Coven is a great early game board to go. And essentially those units are Elise, Cass, Caitlyn, and Camille. So those are the 4 that you're going to get early. If somehow you get a Morgana, hey, toss it in there. Increase that Coven cash out stacks as much as possible. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cash out when you're healthy enough, you're level 7, you're able to maximize those Coven cash out rewards. Take that into a reroll of your Cassiopeia, of your Fiddle. It's going to be a lot more riskier because you are losing health as you go. It's easier to play from the win streak, but that's just how TFT is in general. But if you end up going the Coven route and you are loss streaking, just make sure you have enough health to complete that roll down for your 3-star cast, 3-star Fiddle, and 3-star Rammus. Because if you don't, you may find yourself on an island come late stage 4, early stage 5, and you just bleed out. So Coven is a lot more riskier, but the rewards can be better. Win streaking, of course, is always the better option. You save gold, you save health, and it lets you slow roll throughout the late game until you hit stage 5. Both options and routes work. Doesn't matter what loss streaking, win streaking, mid streaking, you can definitely do that. All you have to do is ensure you get to level 7 healthy with econ augments and get a 3-star cast, 3-star Fiddle with their respective items. And that's the build. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Cass is extremely strong right now. They are bouncing between S tier, A tier, while everybody starts optimizing the build completely. Different guides and websites are trying different things. There's a big explanation on the dot damage being changed from last set as well, which is why Archangels is a little bit higher than Rabadons in terms of the items. But both, again, completely work. So this build is still new. Set 18 is still fresh on the horizon. So there's going to be a lot of tweaks, changes to builds, comps that are meta, S tier, A tier, B tier. But this comp right here is looking like it is an extremely strong composition. Possibly low S, high A, maybe even medium S by the time this video comes out. So give it a try if you have one of those 4 conditions. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, it's Dawn Core, it's Blightning Jewel, it's the Foro Fatalis emblem, and then it's also an early cast. So if you get any of those 4 things, give it a try. Let me know how it works in the comments below. I have the gameplay in the background. This is my first attempt at cast, giving it a try in a double up game with my buddy. I managed to 3-star my cast at 5-3. Excuse the thumbnail zoom-ins on the gameplay. You know that has to be done. Have to get the thumbnails. But the cool part about it is I didn't hit cast until 5-3. Sure, yeah, it's a double up game, and there's different variations and factors with regards to double up. But putting that aside, she was extremely, extremely strong, as you're going to see here from the gameplay. Every time that casts, it felt like the damage was just impeccable. Nothing could stop her. She was just outputting damage like no tomorrow. I don't think I lost a round till the last bit against this team that's going 100, as you can see in the top right of your screen. Other than them, Cass was just steamrolling everybody else. There wasn't a build in sight that could beat it. I think the only reason we lost here or came second is because of the unrivaled emblem, or unrivaled augment, which is just extremely powerful with Kha'Zix and Rengar. That is completely broken. That deserves a video for itself because of how powerful it is. But nonetheless, in your ranked games, Cass reroll is almost always going to get you a top 4, probably a top 1, top 2, if optimized correctly, or you get one of those 4 conditions. So again, don't just force this build because it is a tough reroll build to pull off. If you get the conditions and the game's giving it to you, that's when you do it. Other than that, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe below, like the video. I'm going to be doing lots of set 18 content coming up and going through all the different builds, all the different tactics, artifacts, items, stuff like that. So if that interests you and you're in for the long haul in set 18. Follow, subscribe, like the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Me and my buddy surrender here, I think, after this round, just to save some time and go to the next. So not much you're missing here, but adios. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.